Hello everyone, welcome to another Minecraft video. In this Minecraft video, I'll be going over some of the worlds I've been working on in the past couple of years. Right now there's only 4 of them. And because you may know, I built 4 cities in the last years. Sometimes they're very tough, sometimes they're very difficult to build. Some were very big, some were not even great so big at all. Which is why I'm going over the cities that I've been giving some memories what I had ever since I started playing Minecraft. Now, this is going to be a longest video tour because I'll be touring all the cities that I've been started working on. So without further ado, let's get started with the tour. Now this is my first city. This is called Neo Beacon City. I started working on the city about 3 years ago, and it wasn't like a better city to me because you know why? Because this city is quite a little bit too big and very too awful. There's nothing else changes very well ever since I moved to this world because there's something changes why I cannot go back to this world. There's some reasons because some of the buildings got a little bit narrow. Some buildings got the same height. Some buildings got too tall. Some buildings almost got to reach the limit. Some even have too small, have massive plots. Even though some even long. Some are even quite too tall, like skinny. Now this whole building project, I stopped working on this about back in 2018 because it's too hard for me after I work in the city for more than a year because I build it too tall because I don't want to work on this plot because every time I build skyscrapers it's almost quite as simply hard as a work. It's almost like a futuristic. And as you may know, there's a bunch of small plots that it's a bunch of small plots that every project I had to build. Some like the biggers. Now they're all quite not this project what I was a fan. I was also planned for building like some largest buildings some were even like apartments. There aren't any stadiums or gas stations, but there's a gas station, but it's too small. And right here in this plot, because it's not quite my fan or favorite of this plot. I've been working on this plot that I couldn't quite fill them all up. There's something reason why some buildings got too short, some even stand next together. They even quite too small, just before they reach the residential area. Now this is quite not what I was planning on my favorite. And this is not the quite here because when I build a residential area, but instead I build area apartments or even businesses. It is quite too big around the residential area, but turned out to be apartments. But after I built some apartments, I almost wound up reaching the city district. Some of the city district is quite too big. Some even quite the same size that I built all the roads. Some are even big in shapes. Some have some other colors. They're quite so big that it's so very difficult to me to build. I never got any ideas what the buildings should look like. This right here was supposed to be like a great park, but unfortunately, it wasn't like my favorite park in the world because it doesn't quite simply look like a park. No, above right here, that there's even like some shapes, some even the tallest to reach the limit, and because the reason how that this city is very, 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 very almost bigger than any other cities, but it's quite too big. Has some my buildings are quite actually the same height. A while ago, my little sister Abigail started to join my city. He started to join my world, but until it accidentally made me try to build some skyscrapers that reach all the way to the limit. You want to know what the limit looks like? It was based off from Neo Tokyo from the movie Akira, which is from 1988, with the anime movie that you guys already watched it. It was all inspired from the movie Akira. Now this is not what is supposed to happen when I built this, because you know why? Who made me build all the tallest in the limit? For example, that's my little sister Abigail. And what's her first building that he did that made me build the super tall was this Rainbow Skinny building. I'm not even a fan of this building ever since Avi came to my world. He wants me to build a skyscraper that reach all the way to the same height as the limit of this rainbow skyscraper. And as you may know, it was all gone very hard and difficult. This may take forever. It may take many days to me to build a bunch of skyscrapers that reach all the way to the limit. Now, the reason now this is why every building never gets to build because I was on way behind schedule. Now, I'll give you the handy reason why I stopped working on the world. For example, many other animals started lagging by spawning too much around the city. I stopped working on the city when I came across this land that officially starts to get very empty, and it takes forever to me to cover the whole thing up. And besides, the whole lagging is going to make my game crash, and I'll be cannot able to get some ideas. So that is how I couldn't continue working on the city anymore because despite it's not what I plan to do. So you may enjoy this first city. You may might as well look into my whole city. But unfortunately, I cannot get this. It is in my download the song to give my ideas. So now that it's done, now that the first city is done, time to move on to the next city, which is why I start working on the city in the overworld, which is recently called Neom City. Now this is the second city I built in the overworld. It all started when I started building mansions, but I'm afraid that this doesn't quite look exactly what the mansions really look like. Some even have some shapes, some like some crosses, some even like oval shapes, some even like an arch shape. Some even look like UK flags that represents the flag of the UK. They even have a shape like diamonds and some quite arches and bridges, but they aren't quite the designs of the mansions because they're quite almost like a lot of them, but it's definitely not what it looks like in the overworld. Now, by the time I entered the overworld, when I started building, I just started to try to get to remove some terrain to start building the largest city. I'm afraid that this wasn't what I was planning to do because a bit of lagging of bunnies and some bunch of animals all came spawning in this overworld. And besides, by the time I spawn in this overworld, it's gonna get very difficult and me to take forever. Hand by hand, and TNT by TNT, I try to get rid of the terrain and start flattening everything. It wasn't what I planned to do because this whole area was not efficient been flattened because all the flattening may take forever to me to build, but I haven't got time to do some flattening terrain. That is how it wasn't what I planned to do. By the time I stopped making matches, I started building houses that represents the suburban houses. Now the suburban houses must try to keep away from the city district that I plan to do. First of all, some even long, some even not quite the same size. Even have some other color shapes. I even also add two schools like this one, like a middle school, and the other is an elementary school, but I'm afraid I cannot show you right now because we're on time with the video. By the time updates came, they add new blocks. New blocks means I had to make some upgrades, including some fences and walls, so that it could be the perfect designs of any other houses. Now, the whole reason why I stopped working on the second city because I getting tired of getting of removing too much terrain across this world because it's gonna be flatten everything like a pancake, but it's getting very difficult. Now, the most proposal project that I've been working in the past couple of years that I've been wasting TNT to get rid of mountains and a bunch of big hills. This is gonna get very hard for me to get all the land being flattened at a time. So that is how I stopped working on this. But the most difficult part is when I try to build a strip mall, just like any other real woods, but turned out to be a bigger one, just like when I got this from Google Earth. This whole area was supposed to be like a massive strip mall, but I'm afraid that it won't be like the biggest because it's getting very hard and very difficult to build this. Just like I had to get this inspired from Google Earth because all the hard work I did on the overworld and try to flat everything, which make me force myself to stop working in the overworld from now on. This is why Neom City is pronounced dead, and I will not work in this city anymore. So it's kind of very sad I will not work in the overworld. So I was forced myself to go back to the Flatworld and start making my third city, which is why my next city that I'm about to tour is starting right now. By the time I moved to the flat world again, I started making a new city to try to figure a way to plan this. It's supposed to be like a row of buildings, like a town community, but it ends up not quite as going on as planned for me. By the time I started moving into this world, some of the buildings are quite even big and long shapes that it wasn't quite right, and some of the buildings that represents the interiors that it's gonna be too bigger. It's too big and very big. And by the time I work on residential, some apartments will have a total of box shapes. And it's too big for box shapes. But I start this time when some houses I started building a residential area. However, by the time the residential area, it turned out to be like this. That's right. It represents the real world buildings that it wasn't like a large scale. And this park right here isn't part of what I was planning. And this house isn't what I was planning to do. There's some of the mistakes that I've been building here on the city that it wasn't supposed to be part of the city. And you want to know what? It's something else not right for the city? For example, according to these ones, these aren't part of what the world a part of the world. They represent big mid-shaped buildings like that came from real world, like this one from the McDonald's that it wasn't part of the world, including some largest apartments that represents the big scales, including the strip mall, which quite the same height as the other apartments that it wasn't quite my favorite thing to build on this world. Not even what has interiors, but some cities also have interiors, but I don't think this city may become a bigger place. Including when I build some fast food miniature runs that it won't be the same. Like this big strip, like this big shopping center, but it won't be part of my life, part of the city. By the time it is like inspired, I built these buildings are quite very bigger than large scales that may be not part of the city, including this big one, which is way too big. One is not even a big city just before the city center, but I decided to build a city center right here. But this one is the biggest build because I cannot build this that I it's so big it has a bunch of boxes that I was forcing myself to cover the whole thing up with concrete powder. Concrete powder is going to be very too much work, along with the other buildings that represents large scales without any interiors. But I covered the whole floors up with interiors, like these apartments that it was not part of what I was planning. Even also other these buildings that it was not my favorite. Now, these buildings are quite large scales. They even have the same designs. Not ever since the large scales, it's very quick to take forever to me to build the whole thing. So this is why the city isn't what I was planning to do. It wasn't quite right to build the city to look like this. That's not how the city was supposed to be look like. So I'm afraid this city will be missed. I will never forget this city what I was planning to build ever since I started this last year. I know I'm gonna miss this city from now on. I hope you enjoyed touring one of my three cities I built. Sadly, I cannot tour my fourth city because it wasn't quite ready yet to show the update. So, what I plan to do is name my fourth city that my fourth city may be called New Hero City. I know that, but as long as it's supposed to be successful, I promise I will not create another city ever again. Otherwise, it won't be make any more mistakes. I know it's so sad that Hero City has got to go, but with this new city, I had to do this the better way with normal skills. So this is me signing out.